London is completely frozen right now, not because of an accident, not because of weather, but because 1,975 tractors have taken over the city's streets. That's right. Nearly 2,000 farm machines are blocking intersections, choking traffic, and sending a warning to the government that cannot be ignored. Who is really pulling the strings in Britain, and why are ordinary citizens being pushed to the breaking point? What you're about to see will shock you. This isn't just a protest, it's a wake-up call for the entire nation. Eyewitnesses on the ground described tractors stretching for miles, occupying major thoroughfares, blocking intersections, and effectively paralyzing the capital. This is not a random act of civil disobedience. The coordination required to mobilize nearly 2,000 heavy vehicles in the heart of one of the world's busiest cities speaks to a level of organization, strategy, and intent that goes far beyond a standard protest. These tractors, some carrying banners, others festooned with national flags, are not just vehicles, they are symbols of frustration, power, and defiance. Initial reports suggest that the protest is primarily agricultural in origin, with farmers and rural communities expressing anger at policies they believe are undermining their livelihoods. From tax regulations to environmental directives, there is a growing perception that urban policymakers and financial elites are making decisions that benefit a select few while leaving hardworking citizens behind. The tractors on London streets are a dramatic visual statement. If you feel ignored, if you feel powerless, you take your message straight to the centers of influence, where decisions are made and priorities are set. The timing of this protest is also critical. Britain is currently navigating a complex web of economic pressures, including rising energy costs, supply chain disruptions, and inflationary trends that are squeezing households and businesses alike. Against this backdrop, farmers and rural stakeholders feel increasingly marginalized. Their grievances are no longer confined to isolated complaints. They are converging into a highly visible demonstration that the capital cannot ignore. The sight of nearly 2,000 tractors moving slowly but deliberately through London's streets is a signal that patience is running thin. There is also a symbolic dimension to consider. Tractors are not just farm vehicles. They represent production, sustenance, and the backbone of the economy. Bringing these machines into the heart of London is a way of saying, without us, the country cannot function. Every road blocked, every intersection clogged, every frustrated commuter delayed is a reminder of who really feeds the nation, who really keeps the economy moving, and who is too often overlooked in the corridors of power. The protest is loud, inconvenient, and impossible to ignore by design. Political analysts are already weighing in on what this means for the government. Historically, protests of this magnitude have forced policymakers to rethink priorities, open dialogue with affected communities, and, in some cases, reverse or amend policies. London's streets have seen demonstrations before, but few have wielded the tangible, physical power of nearly 2,000 tractors. This is not just a message to ministers, it is a test of responsiveness and an assertion that authority is not absolute. The government cannot simply issue a press release or tweet a statement to diffuse this. The visual impact, the sheer scale, and the economic disruption make it a high-stakes moment for leadership. Observers note that the organization behind this protest is sophisticated. Coordinating 1,975 tractors requires logistical planning that touches on route mapping, traffic management, safety compliance, and communication. This is no spontaneous uprising. It is a calculated intervention. The protesters understand that the optics are as important as the action itself. Media coverage, social media amplification, and viral images of tractors snaking through London are part of the strategy. Every photo and video clip reinforces the narrative that ordinary citizens, particularly those in agriculture, are asserting themselves in a space traditionally reserved for policymakers and financial elites. The public reaction has been mixed. Commuters stuck in hours-long traffic jams are understandably frustrated, but there is also a wave of sympathy for the underlying message. Many recognize that these are not radical agitators. They are individuals whose livelihoods are under threat, whose voices have often been ignored in policy debates, and whose frustration has reached a tipping point. The tractors, massive and slow-moving as they are, have become a metaphor for persistence and resilience. They are a physical manifestation of anger, hope, and determination rolled into one. Social media has amplified the story in real time. Images of tractors blocking iconic streets, news crews reporting live from the scene, and citizens sharing their experiences have created a sense of immediacy and intensity. Hashtags referencing the protest are trending, fueling a national conversation about priorities, power, and accountability. This isn't just a local disruption, it is a national debate about who Britain serves, who holds influence, and how ordinary citizens can make themselves heard in a system that often seems opaque and unresponsive. Experts suggest that the implications of this protest extend far beyond the immediate disruption. It is a wake-up call for policymakers to address the structural grievances that have led to this extraordinary display. Beyond agriculture, other sectors may watch closely and consider similar demonstrations if they feel marginalized or ignored. This sets a precedent for how social and economic grievances can be expressed in ways that are impossible to overlook, blending symbolic action with tangible disruption to create maximum impact. Economic analysts are already estimating the short-term costs of the disruption. Road closures, delayed deliveries, and lost productivity are just the beginning. The presence of nearly 2,000 tractors in central London has implications for emergency services, urban mobility, and commercial operations. But while the immediate inconvenience is clear, the long-term message is arguably more powerful. Citizens are willing to impose inconvenience to force recognition of systemic inequities. This is a direct challenge to the notion that urban decision-making automatically aligns with the needs of rural and industrial communities. The protest also highlights tensions between urban and rural Britain. Policymakers in London often face criticism that they are disconnected from life outside the capital. Tractors on London streets dramatize that divide in a way that speeches and policy papers cannot. The message is clear. If you want to understand the impact of your decisions, you must face those who live with the consequences. The visual spectacle of agricultural machinery moving through metropolitan streets makes abstract policy debates impossible to ignore. Political commentators are now asking tough questions. Who truly influences decisions in Britain? Is it the elected officials in Parliament, or is it the silent network of interests that dictate priorities? The tractor protest brings this question into sharp relief, suggesting that when formal channels fail, citizens will find alternative ways to assert influence. It raises fundamental questions about democracy, representation, and accountability in a modern society where traditional forms of protest can be easily managed or ignored. The timing of the protest also cannot be ignored. With economic pressures mounting, energy costs soaring, and public services stretched, the tractor demonstration sends a warning that tensions are reaching a boiling point. It is not simply a single act of dissent. It is part of a broader narrative about fairness, equity, and representation. The imagery of tractors stretching across London streets has become emblematic of a larger struggle, one that encompasses not only rural communities but every citizen who feels their voice is marginalized in national decision-making. The government's response will be closely watched. Will ministers engage directly with the organizers, acknowledge grievances, and seek constructive solutions, or will they treat this as a nuisance to be managed? History suggests that ignoring large-scale, highly organized protests rarely ends well. In this case, the stakes are amplified by the symbolic power of the tractors themselves. A visible, unignorable demonstration of influence, persistence, and collective action. On the streets, the mood is tense but purposeful. Farmers, drivers, and supporters have taken on the task with a sense of urgency, demonstrating discipline and organization. The protest is orderly, despite its size, suggesting a level of coordination that reflects deep commitment to the cause. It's a calculated disruption designed to convey a clear message. We will be heard, and we will make our presence felt, no matter the inconvenience. The broader public is taking note. Social media forums, news sites, and political commentators are debating the legitimacy, effectiveness, and implications of the protest. Some frame it as disruptive and inconvenient. Others frame it as a necessary corrective in a system that has often overlooked the backbone of the nation. Whatever the perspective, one thing is clear. 1,975 tractors moving through London is an unforgettable visual, a story that will dominate headlines, and a narrative that will continue to unfold for days, if not weeks. As the day progresses, the ripple effects are becoming apparent. Businesses, commuters, and service providers are adjusting operations, while political leaders are reportedly assessing how to respond. The tractor protest is no longer a local disruption. It is a national story with economic, political, and social ramifications. It is forcing questions about accountability, fairness, and the balance of power in Britain. In the end, the protest is about more than tractors or traffic. It is about visibility, influence, and recognition. It is about making sure that voices which are often ignored are finally acknowledged in a way that cannot be minimized or sidelined. The images of tractors, long and slow-moving, winding through the streets of London, are a reminder of the power ordinary citizens have when they organize, coordinate, and act collectively. What happens next will shape the narrative of citizen influence, government accountability, and the future of rural-urban urban relations in Britain. Will policymakers respond with engagement and reform, or will the protest be dismissed as temporary inconvenience? For now, London is frozen, the tractors stand as a symbol of defiance, and the question echoes across every street and neighborhood: who is Britain really serving, and who holds the power to decide? One thing is certain: history will remember this day not for traffic delays alone, but for the extraordinary scale, symbolism, and impact of 1,975 tractors halting a capital city to demand attention, respect, and recognition. The message is loud, clear, and impossible to ignore, and Britain, and perhaps the world, is watching.